Hi everyone, welcome back. Hopefully you had an awesome full moon weekend, and I'm looking forward to hearing about, I know that some people emailed Kelly, so I'm curious how that played out or if we got any of that done. I haven't actually talked to her since last week, so I'm curious how these energies are coming in for all of you, and please remember to comment or add any questions. Ask any questions at any time, even if it seems as though we've gone past it. Hold on one sec. Here she comes. We're waiting just on the internet, so that should be just a second.
Yay!
Hi! Ooh,
I made
color.
it. Yes, we're doing color today.
Yay!
How is everyone? Can you hear me well and clearly?
Can hear you great.
Mics all together.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for being here.
Yes.
We do have lots to talk about. Let me see if I get this a little better. There we go.
Yep.
How about that?
Loud and clear is what I hear.
Beautiful. Oh, well, let's see. Last night I gathered with Shanta Gabriel.
Woohoo!
So we are going to open with my sister girl that I work with and play with all the time and you love. So Margie, I want you to reach out and we've got to get her on here too. Somehow.
Okay.
Once a month with Shanta would be really great.
You know, I don't know if we can do 3 people.
No, just you and Shanta.
Oh, okay. Oh, absolutely. Okay,
you and Shanta.
Does that mean we're going to talk her through the Instagram thing?
Yep.
Cool. You know, and I think
we're going to figure it out.
Layla is going to do one too. So
yes,
yeah.
Yes, she'll be good too.
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, good.
Yay.
But there was so much that came up, is my point. We started last night, and it just opened up a floodgate of what I wanted to talk about here today. So I'm really glad we've got some folks joining us. And I heard you saying as you opened that they should ask questions. Definitely. I do have an idea for pulling a card today and holding and opening a book that we're going to do together. So we're still very much in the basking in the glow of the full moon. So I want everyone to sort of feel into your full moon energy for sure. I work it a lot of times 3 days before, the day of, and 3 days after. So we're still very much in the zone. And the Leo full moon is about releasing your old self and that which is just no longer authentic for you. Maybe it used to be, but it's no longer authentic. And so that's what we're going for. In this context, we started with the Aquarius new moon 2 weeks ago. I believe it was January 24th. So the new moon was calling in our community, which is why we're here and doing this and calling out to other like-hearted souls to come and play. I do lots of different things. I work with people one-on-one and I do group circles. And I'm trying to cultivate, or what do they say, curate my downloads for do-it-yourself. You know, so people will get a chance to do that eventually as well. So there's lots of ways that we can call in our purpose within that community. So whichever community, many of you are leaders in your own right. Many of you, we're all participants in various communities. And so what roles are you playing at this time? And how is that changing and evolving? And can we do that more consciously and walking through, you know, knowing that it's a practice, knowing we're in new territory, knowing that we may be collaborating with completely new people from all walks of life and different backgrounds and things like that. So we're learning how to do this differently. And I've talked about this for years. Actually, that's what got me going for today, was that the Leo Aquarius eclipses were exactly 1 year ago. And we had about 2 years worth of them.
Yeah, I just want to jump in real quick and give you feedback. Everyone is definitely feeling the full moon and the empowerment of it and the shifts coming in. So just confirmation.
Yay.
Yay.
Definitely. So no one's exempt. It doesn't matter if you've got Leo Aquarius, but Leo Aquarius and Taurus Scorpio, definitely this month is your month. This lunation is energizing your chart directly. And so, and that shifts. And so the whole idea of learning at least the basic order is to be able to follow it in your body and to feel it and understand how it works and how it feels for you personally. And it's different for everyone. We all have different elemental balances, so we respond to different elements in different ways. So that's why you have to kind of feel it and walk through at least 1 month. Okay, I like to tell people 90 days to follow the moon and the sun together, the lunar and solar patterns, which is a lot of what people want to learn about. That is easy to do in a 30, 60, 90-day kind of zone. And then it becomes automatic. It really does. You start to feel the shifts. You know when the moons change signs, which, by the way, that was what also kicked off today, is we're in a void of course right now. Oh. So we're in one of those zones that in regular world, it might act as if a Mercury retrograde where it's a little glitchy and miscommunications. Like I wouldn't schedule a very serious meeting that I had to be on point. But here where I get to do whatever I want and be in a spiritual zone, where I'm going to be pulling cards and opening books and sort of turning inward. That's what the void of course is good for. And you may want to raise your hand if you don't know what I'm talking about, but there's a point where if you remember, the sun moves through Aries through Pisces in 1 year. The moon moves through Aries through Pisces in 1 month. And about every 2.5 days, there's a pause in between the signs. So that pause is the void of course. And for us, it's usually about 2 hours. Today, it's a little longer. And so when you get a longer window, I feel like you have more access to the angels and the animals and the ancestor guides. So that's when I would do more divinations. And so I'm excited about today because we're going to do it all live and see what happens. Yay. And it's always universal. That was another philosophy I wanted to put out there up ahead of time, is that when I do these kind of group readings and we pull cards, because it happens in my circle, we do it live with each other there too. And it is so powerful to do a group read. And one of the practices that I would love to throw out there just for this crew that joins us, you know, it seems like a lot of people are coming back and coming again. So you all can start to track your own if you have your own cards or your own sort of self-help books and things that inspire you that you can hold and open to any page. But we can throw out a question, like we can say today, if we're working through, now it's in the Virgo moon. Well, it's really between Virgo and Libra. So we've come out of the work essence of it, of whatever stripping has gone down. It's almost like your system had to get used to the fact that you're shedding a skin again, you know, and releasing a part of you that maybe you used to value and love and trust, but it's no longer necessary or no longer useful, or it's more or less worn out. So this is, think about what you went through 2017 and 18 and how those particular Leo Aquarius departments were disrupted. And that's what eclipses do for us. They help shake things up and what I call break to realign. And it gets us present to here and now. Now, the last years that we had Leo Aquarius was 2008 and 2009. And then before that was like 98, 99. So you can track through and see how often those areas are stimulated for you, which we get once a month with the moon. But then now, like full moon, new moon, that's every 6 months. So this is 6 months from your Leo new moon intentions. What were you doing last August, 6 months ago, that you initiated that was like all new you? You knew you were feeling like a new level of you was emerging. You knew that you were going to have to express something new in a new way or to new people, and that you had to be able to shine your light. That's what the Leo moon is always good for, helping us connect to our own unique light that we want to share with whoever's interested, you know.
So just a real quick question. When someone is holding on to something that they know isn't serving them anymore and there's some inner conflict going on, what can you recommend for them? Just sharing
to release the inner conflict. You have to ask yourself some questions. That's when the self-inquiry gets really important, because you want to ask, you know, what is the value and purpose of this in my life? You know, if I let it go, what happens? If I hold on, what happens? You can pull a card for all of that, and I will do that. Or you use your pendulum. Pendulum is a really beautiful crystal, or any, you know, it comes in different ways. I have a wooden one, I have a crystal one. So the pendulum helps you with yes or no questions. And I think we talked about this in the first week. You can do a yes or no in your body. So to figure out your yes or no in your body, there's a couple of different ways. One, you can tell yourself something you absolutely know is true and feel how that feels in your body. And then you tell yourself something you know is absolutely not true. And you can, and then just be still for 5 seconds and feel it and see where it shows up. Sometimes it's your gut. Sometimes it's a tightness in your chest. My husband's forearms tingle. Like, different things happen to your body. Everyone's body is your communicator. That's really unique and special for you. So learning how it works is our job this lifetime, you know, to really master the vehicle and make it do tricks.
And that goes back to knowing thyself, and even like quickly going, ooh, wow, where's that coming from, right?
Exactly.
And
just ask the question.
To me anymore. Is that internally or externally?
Right. And see, think about after Leo, we're going to move into Pisces, Virgo. So some of the processing is about to come up, and Mercury is going to be retrograde, supporting our processing time. So the next month, like what we're dealing with this month in Leo Aquarius energies, is more about, like I said, the individual within the context of the community. As you're getting back to your heart center and what you're passionate about, what you love and what you care about and what engages your heart. Think of how many people have closed down their hearts. Think of how many people have thrown up the walls like, I can't take it anymore. This is too much. You know, we want to remember joy and playfulness, and that's part of being human, you know, and it's really something that's getting away from us if we're in survival mode too long. And it's harmful to the body system, it's harmful to the mental system, it's harmful to all of it.
Yeah.
And people asking anything?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll try to keep I kind of blended one question together to make it smooth.
Yeah, so I think you have to do some self-inquiry, and you have to have little tricks to confirm what you're picking up. Because, and then the other thing, we've talked about this as well, ego and spirit. Ego's your voice in your head that's like, you should do it, you know, and bothers you and bugs you and pokes you, and you let it go. I'm like, I'm letting that go. And 5 minutes later it's, and you're thinking about it again. Or that's totally ego. Spirit comes through you. And it's what we say, oh, I should have followed my first mind. That's what I should have done. Your first mind is your first heart. It's your first instinct and intuition about whatever's being presented in front of you, whatever it is. You know, we're responders. As humans, we respond to what's going on around us.
And ask. I'm going to go back to the big ask. It's okay to ask.
Yes, and we should ask. And that's what my Soul Sister Circle is all about, asking once a month, because if you forget and you go 6 months or a year, things pile up. They really do. And then you're overwhelmed and you can't make a decision about one thing, let alone the 10 that have to get decided on, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm
shuffling cards. Well, I know today we're going to get on a roll, because one of the things that I wanted to go through the Leo full moon stuff, because that's the zone we're in, but just to get you present to what is no longer you and what is the emergent you that wants to come through now and shine and share your light and really take that to a new level within the context of the community. Like, how have we up-leveled our value to others, and how can we share that with more ease and grace? And like I said earlier, what new self did you initiate 6 months ago that it's gone 6 months? We're at that midpoint in the year for Leos. Okay, so Leos, hello. I know you all like when I talk to you directly. This is your midpoint in your annual year. And when you're looking back at your initiation straight on, and you can see things you didn't see August, September, October. And that's all of us, but certainly Leo suns for sure. So we're working through that authentic self. The next month, Virgo Pisces brings us to what is the 12 lunations. We've gone 12 months through the zodiac and come back to Pisces in this way. So 12 full moons, essentially. And we're going to have it'll be Virgo full moon, Pisces new moon. So 12 new moons, correction. And that culminates a whole year of processing that we've done. And during that lunation, we're going to have this activation I want to talk about. And we're going to have the Mercury retrograde to help us. And that's going to help us do some processing. And we talked about this last week. Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, Sag are the processing times of year. If it is in your chart and activated, you're a natural processor and pretty conscious about it. And you know that you like to think things through in various ways. I feel like Virgo helps us process in the body. Pisces helps us process our emotions and what we're picking up from the universe. And Gemini helps us process the information and our mental through our intellect. And who am I forgetting? Sagittarius, the higher truth, and processing the deeper meaning of it all. And that's the inspiration, the fire of truth, and what you're calling in. And what new story do you want to tell? That's really up right now. Or what story did you initiate 6 months ago that's culminating in a way now that you kind of know what you're working with? So what do you want to do over the next 6 months? And to be in a new position for that emergent self to really shine. So if we can get through that and we can process the year, we're going to get to spring equinox and the vibe is going to change considerably. Okay, we have all this Capricorn earthy energy right now. Uranus is in Taurus, bringing in more earthy energy. So there's lots of things we've talked about. We're feeling it in our bodies, which is really important that we have to follow along in our bodies right now. I've talked about this too, how our consciousness we can shift in an instant, but the body takes a little longer. And we also have been working as a humanity, awakening that culture over the last several hundred years. I think now it's in the body. We have to learn how to be this spirit in a human form. And how do we navigate between 3D and 5D, and how to kind of jump dimensions in ways we really know how to do this. We're wired for this. We just have to remember how to do it. Yes. And part of that's learning how your body works and how it talks to you and what it's communicating with you in terms of your power and what you can do with yourself. This is your playroom. And we want to make it fun again. And that's what Leo full moons are really good for, is just asking where you are playing a role that you really want to be or you don't want to be. Either way, you got to own it. And a lot of things with the Leo is always self-love, self-worth, self-value, all of it. Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus, Scorpio bring up all our self-worth issues from different departments. Again, physically, self-worth, the mental self-worth, the emotional self-worth, and the spiritual self-worth. There's levels, and each sign or each group really helps us through some things.
And it is an important time to remember that it's okay to let go of those things that no longer, the parts of us that we don't like any of the labels that we maybe have put on us or other people put on us. Like,
man, every day is a new day.
Shit off, right?
And I'll tell people in a heartbeat, I used to do that. I used to think that way. I used to feel that way, but I don't anymore. So keep it moving. Let's go. So the big one, 2/20. What day is it? Is it the 11th, I think?
Today's the 11th,
yeah. Our first hit on February 20th is going to be one of 3 hits between Jupiter and Neptune. And this is a very spiritual activation. It's an opportunity for us to gain some traction in the story we're telling and evolve our story in a real way. But the biggie is connecting to miracles. So when I thought about the divinations I wanted to do today, I was thinking about how we can open up to our miracles. Because when we're in our authentic selves and when we're honoring our true light and allowing that to shine with no fear and no shame, and trusting that your unique essence is welcome in the world, otherwise you wouldn't be here, and has a purpose in the community, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And so we're connecting to that as we open to our own miracles as well. What are the miracles that are coming through that we need to be alert to? Because like I said, it is an opportunity, which means we have to kind of consciously work with it and make choices and take some action. So let me go through. I'm just going to read this because it's one paragraph so that you get the gist of the energies coming together. And then I'm going to encourage everyone that's here and those who listen on the back end, just know that you too are receiving the message. And there's always something for everyone. There always.
Take notes. Like, remember to write down the 2/20, which I believe is next Thursday, if math serves me correctly at this point, right?
So
go ahead.
Definitely. There's 3 dates: February 20th, July 27th, and October 12th of this year. So those are the 3 dates where Jupiter and Neptune will get together in the sky. And it's so beautiful because it's going to give us the whole year of miracles, really. But what I love is that we're gathering on the front end of the year and getting our information and finding out where the energetic support really is. And if we're ready and we're willing and we're open to the possibility of doing it another way and really being good with it, like not making it a struggle or hard or torturous, we don't want to do it that way anymore. And excuse me. So it's important that we say that to the universe, because if we constantly move through the world, I'm a survivor, I'm a survivor, Spirit's going to keep giving you stuff to survive. That's what you're asking for in that moment. So what you want to do is build on it. Yes, own it. I am a survivor. I've been through a lot of things and I'm still standing. Okay, now what? Now how can we expand? That's a solid base. How can you expand now and open up to some new energy that you know, because you've survived other things, it's going to be no big deal, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So this is Jupiter's your consciousness and belief systems, and Neptune is faith and your connection to spirit. So that's what we're essentially opening up to in general. This is an opportunity to connect to miracles if you believe in them. It may be miracles, but it may also be the alignment between your heart and soul. That part of you that trusts your intuition and believes in a higher power or source or universal presence, your God of your understanding, everyone. There are a couple of expressions of this energy. This is a time where your spiritual beliefs expand, taking on a more broad universal feel. You may feel the urge to work with those less fortunate. Never a bad idea, but you also may meet someone that expands your thinking, opening you to new concepts of faith. So this is, I meant to say this earlier because we're coming out of that Virgo moon, is questioning your routine, questioning your belief system, questioning what you've sort of gone along to get along for so long. If we never question it, we're going to hit a wall eventually. So it's important. That's why we said at least once a month, check in. Like, is this still working? Do I still want to go in this direction? Do I still care about these things? Is the priority list working? Is what's on top still belong there? Really checking in. And so under this influence, you may feel more optimistic and philosophical than usual, especially about your life. It can be a fabulous energy to connect to, because when you are optimistic and faithful, as well as truly connected to the whole, you can manifest almost instantly. That's the alignment thing. When you clear your energy field and you illuminate it with the light and presence that you want to magnetize, because Leo's the magnetic thing. It's your heart, your only electromagnetic organ. We're magnetizing, and at the full moon, we want to shed anything that's blocking our magnetics, because that's our goodies. That's our magic that brings in the people we want to play with and work with, and the work we want to do in the world. It opens up the pathways for all that and magnetizes what we need. So we are definitely connecting to that. And once you're in alignment, Spirit starts throwing you help, and that was the other thing we talked about on the full moon call, was that if you take one step, the universe often will carry you 3 or 4. But we have to make the first initial step.
One quick question is, why do some people feel resistant at the full moon and uncomfortable?
Because it's lighting up an area that has been dark. And that's why we honor shadow work. Shadow work is another thing we do in my circle that's really important to do at least periodically. Because if you wait too long, there's a lot of stuff in that dark closet, So it's better to sort of take out the little triggers that mess with you each day and deal with them. Because it's just like anything else. Shining a light on it dispels the shadow. So shining a light on it calls it into your conscious awareness, so that your higher self goes, oh, she's aware or he's aware, and now they're ready to do something about it. So let me respond. Let me give them something to do. And that's what we're inviting. We're inviting that miracle for ourselves. Each individual, no one's exempt. Everyone is possible right now. And we had talked about how Jupiter and Sag last year created this sort of crisis in faith, where we were seeing such wild, unbelievable things from humans that it was very hard to believe. Now it's shifted into Capricorn, and it's like, okay, hold on, let me get back in my center and what I'm responsible for and what I can actually handle in this physical body, and get present to the reality instead of that idea. There's a lot of ideas that have been flying around that aren't necessarily real, but if you give them energy, then they become real. And another mantra that helped me break some patterns back in the day was, well, besides that was then, this is now, but it's, oh my God, it just came and went. So it'll come back. Oh my God. But again, with questioning our things so that we are present, and we're not just going along mindlessly and disconnected, which can happen. You know, I mean, we can get caught up in any kind of work routine or family routine that takes us off our game, you know, maybe for a quarter. But you got to be able to get back in.
To that being resistant to the full moon, like what we resist persists.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's really just cool to just sit with it for a bit, sit outside a bit, and when you feel that resistance come up, you know, ask and jot it down and see what's coming up, what's being highlighted for you, and then you can rest for a second if you're, you know, depending on where you are with it. But be open to it, because we can't keep resisting it. Yeah.
No. And asking the resistance, like I said, shining a light on it helps you just own the little piece that needs to own so that you can get to the next thing. Sometimes if we're in resistance, we'll never get there. We'll never take that first step. We'll never even try. And that's where you have to treat that part of you like the monkey mind. It's something you have to train and tame. You don't want to disregard it. You don't want to disown it. It's a part of you. But you have to tell yourself when you're being blocked like that or being resistant that what part of you is afraid of the new. You've got to ask the questions. What part of you is going to be so disrupted? It's really never as bad as we think it is, you know. No. And open to, this is what's right for me. Like the better you are with your boundaries, which is going to be really important this whole year, the better you are with that, it also will be almost like filtering what you allow into your field, you know, that really helps. So being optimistic and faithful helps, of course. We want to keep in mind that there are probably some very real challenges that we're all facing, which require tangible efforts to resolve. Stay focused on the possibilities while still doing what needs to be done to facilitate the highest possible outcome. So that's the other thing. Think bigger, think higher, expand the vision. The only challenge with this energy is that Jupiter, the planet of expansion and optimism, is getting together with Neptune, the planet of no boundaries. Okay, expansion and no boundaries. Think about that, everyone. So be mindful of any excesses of any kind. Remember, all things in balance. It is rare that excess serves the higher good. Like, really, I'm taking volunteers. Anyone? You know, does excess ever serve the higher good?
No, I think nope. Thinking about that chocolate cake.
Yeah. And then maybe next week we'll go through more of the Mercury retrograde stuff, but I really want to pull a card for our miracle and see what we need to just be aware, be alert, be ready for. And like I said, this message, now today we're going to use my very, very favorite in the whole wide world, Tarot of the Spirit, which has got this beautiful mother goddess on the cover. This is Pamela Eakins. And she is a friend and cohort. So she has guested in my circle at Venus Circle before. And she's amazing. She's a mystic. She's a cosmologist. What I love about Tarot of the Spirit is it's super deep. She combines Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, numerology, astrology.
You have to share that with me because, I love that.
Yeah, she's the best. And she's out in Half Moon Bay. she's in California. Oh, yeah. So she does live workshops for writing and everything. You guys would love her. And I just noticed that she has a YouTube, so we can find her too. Ooh, and Pamela, tarotofthespirit.com is her website, and Pamela Eakins. So I love her tarot, and she will give us a little astrology that I can translate as well. But let's just breathe. Let's take a second to unify who's here and who's listening on the back end for that message that is just for you, or that confirmation. A lot of times it's just confirming what we already know. But we want to be open to that miracle and that those greater possibilities that Jupiter and Neptune really afford us when they get together in a positive activation like they do now. So let's call in the guidance that we need to really navigate, let's say, the next month of exploring possibilities. What do we need to be aware of while we do that? All right. Deep breath, everyone. It's a lot of water energy, so we're definitely feeling things and opening to the possibilities. And ultimately, the 8 of Fire is called the lightning path. Pamela would love this. Let's see. That is Mercury in Sagittarius. Interesting. So the 8 of fire. So any numerologists, our 8s are always really good. And 8. All right. The 8 of fire is the card of perception. So remember, that's what we were talking about. Jupiter and Neptune really work on our perceptions. Mm-hmm. And so that's another inquiry thing that we want to work with throughout the next 3 months, basically. What are we perceiving? What is it really? What does it appear to be? That's what I was going to say that I forgot about Leo. Leo brings up who we think we are, who we really are, and who we're perceived to be. So if we're shedding a skin right now, think about how you're perceived in the world. And is it the way you want to be perceived? Because if not, then adjusting your magnetics is where you start. But our perceptions and our mental thing over the next month of processing, really important, everyone. It is the card of transmuting spirit. At this time, you are on the verge of a raised consciousness, a higher consciousness, which, if allowed to develop, will alter your goals and convictions, what you really believe in. As you arrive at this point, you are in a time of major movement to a higher level. So preparing as if is one of my things too right now. If you know that you are clearing the decks of the past and you're letting go of certain ways and relationships and processes and things in your life, you're opening for something to come in. Be clear about that too. You know, that part's important to clarify. You are achieving a broader base of human and spiritual knowledge. You are now able to put words to your feelings that you've had that up until this point could not fully be comprehended or expressed. It is as if the clear direction of your life has been floating just below the surface of your conscious mind. You knew you had an important task, but you could not quite perceive it. At the 8 of fire, however, clear direction rises to the surface. You need only follow your intuitive grasp. So following our intuition and our instincts is so important. It's so important. The 8 of fire is the lightning path of energy taking off. This energy flows to you from the primal universal force. Some refer to this power or this energy as the descent of power. As you perceive this energy or power moving towards you, you will know you are on the right track. So remember earlier when I said you get in alignment, it opens things up and then everything's magnetized in automatically. And in becoming aware of this, you realize that you can harness and channel this force for your own empowerment or for the empowerment of your group. Like I said, I know we've got a lot of leaders in here. The harnessing force means becoming very clear and moving with the universal flow. So becoming clear in ourselves allows us to move with the universal flow in much better ways. In order to become clear, you must ascend to meet the energy as it comes to you. We have to rise up. This means that you must open yourself to receive, understand, and channel universal force. So again, with understanding energy, taking the names and faces off, being a clean, pure channel for energy to move through. That really connects us to our miracles, for sure. Let the universal force flow through you, and you will be successful in actualizing your deepest goals. Letting the force flow through you is a sign that your understanding has matured. Your fiery energy has become more subtle. Your nature is now coolly electric. You can operate from a low-key, more effective position. This is an indication that you are headed in the right direction. Although you now have words and concepts to describe your work, you feel very comfortable in moving ahead without even discussing it. because this is the other thing with the Leo moons, to bring you into yourself, your authenticity, with no time to explain or complain. Like, no, we just don't do that anymore. It's really great. So even though now you have the words, you don't feel the need to discuss it. This is because when you are on the right path, you do not need to clear it with anyone. Mm-hmm. Get the memo. It is now time to move quickly. Move quickly and you will reap great rewards. On the lightning path, movement is rapid, driven by the momentum of polarizing opposites. At the 8 of fire, you are driven by your own understanding of the dualistic nature of the universe. There is black and white, male and female, cold and hot, wet and dry, earth and heaven. The 8 forces mediate between matter and spirit, or in sacred geometry, the square and the circle. Thus, 8 is the symbol for regeneration, something else that we can remember. That seems like a miracle, but our bodies really do know how to regenerate themselves. And so whatever you're pouring into, and that was another thing, whatever you think about all day long, basically is who you are, what you are. So making sure that you're cleaning and clearing your consciousness as you're able. And again, with the filters, cleaning the filters. You might have been looking at things from a certain angle that now the next month is going to allow you to process and see it from all new angles. So you deep breath at the 8 of fire. It's the regeneration. It represents the eternal spiraling moment of creation. It represents the spiritual connection of the conscious mind, earth and the below, to the higher consciousness, which is heaven and the above. Arriving at this point in time, you are motivated by the incredible force of making connections. So when we do our processing, when we ask our questions, we make our own connections, you know, through our own filters, and not influenced by the overculture or your family or the society or your, you know, any of that. Yeah. On the tree of life, the 8th sphere is this circle of Hod. I don't know how to say these things. The conscious mind. At the 8, the subconscious mind has transmitted sensory experience to the conscious mind of thought. So think about that. What are we feeling, picking up? Because remember, when we get into Pisces time, that's what it's about. It's the subtle energies. It's the subtle fields. What are you picking up and what can you handle? And thus the 8 is creative and rational thought. It is the realm wherein archetypes, symbols, and other abstractions are created from all that which seems illogical. So we're not linear anymore. We really need to get that in our heads. Nothing's linear. And if you want it to be, you're going to get your feelings hurt. So just let it go. You are now making sense of things. You are describing and understanding processes and occurrences for which earlier you could find no words. The 8 is the dawn of objective consciousness. I like that. And that's what we're going to need even while we're opening to miracles. With objective consciousness comes enlightened perception. You are now part of the group that understands. That is why the 8 of fire, the lightning path, is also the symbol of initiation. With your new level of understanding, you can now see the purpose of membership or belonging. This enables you to understand the significance of the secret ceremony. In seeing clearly, as if for the first time, you have a sense of communion with that which was heretofore unrecognizable. As your philosophy changes, you benefit from using the subtle energies of the lightning path to purge your existence of that which is no longer necessary. With each extraneous element you burn away, you shed more light on that realm which you once perceived as darkness. Burn away that which is outmoded in your consciousness. Will rise to ever greater levels of awareness. Burn away that which is outmoded and your consciousness will rise to ever greater levels of awareness. The key to separating out that which needs to be burned from that which should be preserved is the knowledge that love is the catalyst that triggers the movement of the lightning path. And we're back to the heart of Leo. Mm-hmm. The perception of love creates the most powerful of all energies. So let us always be perceiving love through everything, even when it hurts. Move in the way of love and you will become energized, aware, and fully empowered. So I would also say, like, moving from the heart. That's how that works, right?
Yeah.
And so and I'm doing with you guys what I would do on my own. I would have asked about the miracles coming and how can I be ready and pull the card. But then I also love the Bible, Women Who Run with the Wolves. And this is the Bible in the Venus circle. And so I would go deeper.
Loving it and yay, and it's on
good.
What's happening right now. So yeah.
Right. Yes. Yes, I love it. I love it. So now we're going to go a little deeper into our psyche of what needs to be cleared so that we are ready for those miracles and we're ready for what's trying to come in, because that's what we want the most. We want to be ready for what we've been building for and working for and really striving for throughout our lives, whatever that may be. So let's see what Clarissa Pinkola Estes, Dr. Estes, is my hero and savior. This book has saved me for so many years. But what in the psyche just sort of needs to be addressed or cleared or understood or worked with in some way that will help us all receive our miracle a little better, a little easier. Ooh, achieving fierceness. I love this one. I love this one. Let me see if I can get to the gist of it for you. It's really short. Let's just do it. I think we have time.
We're good. Yeah.
Yeah. A little dog learns the names of the women one more time and races back to his master. He ignores the feast on the road and the enticing smells from the bush. Here we see the consciousness of the psyche rising. How perfect is this for what we just got? The instinctive psyche has learned to curb itself, prioritize, and focus. It refuses to be diverted. It is now intent. So again, with your intentions for the year, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm just getting started. Yeah. And I do want to honor the 21-day plan that we talked about last week. I'm activating it this week. And so it's anything that you can commit to that's going to help you focus and curb your, isms that get you in trouble, the little self-sabotage stuff we all have, and prioritize. That's the big one. What's most important when we're asking that question? But from nowhere, a dark thing suddenly jumps out at the little dog. The stranger shakes the dog and shouts, "Tell me those names. What are the names of the young women so I may win them?" The stranger does not care for duality or the finer points of the psyche. To him, the feminine is a possession to be won and nothing more. The stranger can be personified by an actual person in the outer world, but it can also be a negative complex within us. It does not matter which, for the devastating effect is the same. This time, the dog engages in unrestrained battle. Remember, our title was Achieving Fierceness. Yeah. So this is the part where I tell people not to go along to get along to go along. There's a lot of times in the past years, and I talk about this a lot, where it used to be okay. It used to work. Okay, I'm not going to fight with you because you're not going to change your mind. I'm not going to change my mind. Let's just not discuss it. And you could walk away, but that doesn't work anymore. Yeah. Somehow things circle back to bite you on the booty if you don't address it in the moment. In the moment, we have to be able to raise our hand and go, I call bullshit. I'm not going to do it this way. Something that stands up for yourself. Yeah. And so that's something we all have to cultivate. And while we're in this zone of wanting to master feminine so much, and feminine being all important, we have to know that we have to master our masculine to get that right. It's all got to go together. It's a dance. Yeah.
It's a beautiful
dance.
And the balance of it. And it's an interesting thing that happens when you stand up and set up your boundary that way. Mm-hmm. You also shift your energy to where you don't longer participate in that anymore.
Nope. It doesn't even come to you. You don't magnetize anymore.
It's like, whoop, I set up my boundary. I'm no longer having this in my space. Now here. And it's like, but you almost have to say it.
Yes.
Yes.
Because you're training the people in your world, you're training the universe.
And
This is what I
yourself.
mean. And
like,
yourself is validating that, right?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest validation that you can give yourself. So I am a big proponent of fierceness. I'm sorry. I really am. Thank you. Okay.
Right?
Yes. Exactly. So this time the dog does battle. And that was basically like in the story, he kept forgetting, and kept losing his way. And that's what we do. We keep trying different things and we lose our way and we get off track. But eventually you want something more. You want to either feel better in your body and yourself, or you want to get something done. And then all of a sudden this nonsense doesn't work anymore. And that's something that we call stripping the non-essential. If it's not essential, and that's a Virgo thing. Is it relevant or useful? If it's not relevant and useful, it's out of here. We don't have time. So this time the dog does battle. Whether male or female, this occurs in outer life when an incident or a slip of the words, an odd thing of some sort jumps out and tries to make us forget who we are. There is always something in the psyche that tries to rob us of the names of what we're trying to remember. There is many name robbers in the outer world also. In the story, the little dog fights for its life. Sometimes the only way we learn to hold on to our deeper knowing is because a stranger jumps out. Like, we're not challenged to be creative and come up with these solutions unless our back's up against the wall. A lot of times humans don't do it the easy way. I apologize. Then we are forced to fight for what we find really dear. Fight to be serious about what we are about, who we are. Fight to develop past our superficial spiritual motives, which Robert Bly calls the desire to feel groovy, to fight to hold on to the deeper knowledge, fight to finish what we have begun. That's another thing. Distractions and detours and delays. I mean, that's going to be part of Mercury retrograde. So what I want everyone to look at them is for their divine value. What can we get out of this pause? And anytime that you're blocked from what you're trying to do, you want to ask the universe, what am I missing right in front of me? There's something right here that because I'm all out here and I'm all over here, I'm not seeing something right here. So that's another thing to be mindful of. The little dog fights to keep the names and thusly conquers the repetitive slide into unconsciousness, which is another thing that is our responsibility as individuals to keep coming back, to keep stimulating our consciousness. I know my husband and I just talked about this because he's just discovering like motivational speakers and listening to tapes. I'm a big Les Brown, Wayne Dyer, I go all the way back to the 80s when it started and it got big. And he was like, I always wondered why you had them all the time and over and over and over. And I said, because if I go a week or something without putting something good in there, little bugs take over. It's bad.
You're just driving down the street sometimes, right? It's like,
thank you. Out of my center. I got to get back in my center. So once the battle is fought, amazingly, the dog has not lost the names, for that is what they were fighting over. Knowledge about the wild feminine. Whoever possesses it has a power equal to that of the woman herself. The dog has fought to give this power to the worthy man. He has fought to keep this power from an aspect of ancient human nature that would misuse it. The giving of power into the right hands is as important as the finding of the names. The heroic dog gives the names to him, the worthy man, who presents them to the young women's father. The young women are ready to go away with him. They have all been waiting to discover and retain conscious knowing of their intrinsic natures. So we see that the two things which prevent progress in these matters are the distractions of one's appetites and the dark stranger. This sometimes being the innate oppressor within the psyche, which is our, like that negative self-talk. It's that boo-boo, it's just going to poo-poo everything you do and say, no one wants that. Who made you think you could do it? There's lots of that negative self-talk that we're going to let go of this month. And That's the innate oppressor within the psyche. And sometimes a person or situation in the outer world can do that to us too. Regardless, each traveler knows innately how to defeat these looters and marauders. Keep hold of the names. The names are all. And I think the context of this story is basically naming and claiming what you want. If we don't identify it, and if we do just want to float along with the universe, you're going to go along to get along. You're going to be along with the crowd. You're not going to probably get things done the way you wanted to. So to actually have a direction and have an idea that you want to evolve, the next month or two is kind of putting the touches on it. Because come April, May, June, the vibe is going to shift. It's going to open up more to other people. Like for many of us, like I'm doing this now. I expect in another 3 months from now, more people are going to know about me. Like it's just the way it's going to happen. Yeah. And there is another activation in those special ones, which by the way, everyone, I do have on my YouTube channel, the 2020 overview. And then behind that was the special alignments. Yeah. If you want to look at that special alignments one, that's what we talked about today, one of them. The other one is a Jupiter-Pluto one, which is actually good for publicity. So for people who do want to promote their work or promote themselves in various ways, this year we have the possibilities. And a lot of it may have to do, like with you and I, being positioned to help the seekers who are looking for all this and are ready, that haven't been ready in the last 5 or 10 years. Now there's going to be a huge wave of seekers coming, trying to figure out how to take care of themselves in various ways. And Basmati helps.
Well, and you're you know, that YouTube, the video you sent out, and the you had written some stuff also with it, I believe, right?
Yeah, you've written video and audio.
And you can join her newsletter, right? Is that how you also send that out?
Always.
But in the conversation I had with Layla yesterday, and I'm looking forward to content about some things that are expanding with that and what that's going to look like. It's going to be pretty interesting.
Totally. Yeah, and so all of us have to be ready. These leaders, these conscious leaders, it's really important for you to be ready for that wave of people who need to learn a new way or learn a different way, you know, and to be okay with it and to understand that it is going to be wildly different people than maybe you're even used to talking to. And we can't judge that. They're going to come through 8 to 80, blind, crippled, or crazy. Let's go. Everybody rise to the next level. We are all going to the next level together. And and we can, if we just support each other in these little ways, like we do, pulling a card here and there, open a book. Now I know that achieving fierceness is part of what we need to do as we rise in our consciousness. It's kind of like, I also have a line, keep the dumb shit from my circumference, you know, like keep it out of my circle. There's no drama and weirdness in my circles. And I've been very blessed, but I do believe that has to do with the leader. It's a trickle down from the leaders.
Nope, that is not coming in my space. Sorry.
Yeah. And it doesn't, and it bypasses, and I don't even hear about it until months later that something tried to get in, you know? So it's going to be great.
It is great already, right? It's fantastic.
Yes.
And us coming together. And like I said yesterday, I'm looking forward to chatting with you later about the conversation I had yesterday. It was fantastic. So
yes, good deal.
You'll love it.
They'll both be fun here.
Checking on time.
Yes, we're good. We can wrap it up if you like. If there's any questions, I want to tell you next week on Wednesday the 19th, I have Cinnamon Rose, who is going to guest on my Venus Circle, and it's free, so everybody's welcome. You can go to my website under Offerings, Virtual Circles. There's Venus Conversations, and that's where you can register to receive the call, the replay, or join us live. And that's the next event going on. Other than that, it's just me and you.
That's on Wednesday, to reach out. At what time?
Our time, 4:00 p.m. Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. 1 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific. So it is an odd time for the Venus Circle, but it's when she could do it, so we're excited. Yeah. And by the way, it's the sacral chakra. It's our creative center in the sign of Aries. So we're reclaiming what we basically want to birth come spring, summer, and that we're really going to dig into on the next Venus retrograde.
Can't get the replay of that, just so you know, just everyone.
Absolutely.
At work or anything.
Totally. Yeah, right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Don't know if you heard, but she's starting her 21-day thing today, right? Or this week?
Well, this week.
Okay.
And so I'm getting all my materials. I did my juices, and I'm getting organized for everything. It's the diet and fitness kind of thing. It's 21 days of meat. Yes,
21 days of you.
A
of
wholeness.
Self-care, self-nurturing.
Self-care, yes. Because that's the other thing about the Leo full moon. It's all about you and how you feel so that you can radiate that light. And I really want to do it while we're going into the processing of the Mercury retrograde, and the Virgo Pisces lunation is big for me because I have like 6 planets in Virgo. So the next super full moon, by the way, this was a super full moon. We have 3 in a row. It's going to be Leo, Virgo, and Libra full moons for these next 2 months. So get out and see it. Get under the sky because it's bigger, and try to see it rise. It's a little closer to the earth. The alignment is a little bit stronger, which, by the way, is what makes it more intense too. So just know that this 90-day stretch is pretty intense on a personal level, and to give yourself that self-care and space to feel it and to feel into the new zone we're in. Like, really don't look at it through old eyes or old filters. Look at where you are and go, look at it like it's new. Like, where am I? What am I doing? And what do I have here? And what's available right in front of me? And how can I do it right here and right now? And take that first step.
Let that light shine onto those shadow spots, right?
It's your turn. That's right. Yes. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Next week.
Bye,
Much
everyone.
love.
Thank you for being here. They're all saying thank you and right on.
Thank you.
And all that good stuff.
Yay.